This might sound a little bit dramatic and I might even come across as a jerk, but Robert Manfred jinxed the meetings. He had not been there physically over the last 6 or 7 days, and funny enough, the owners and the players were actually starting to make some progress. Robert Manfred shows up yesterday for the first time in over a week, and guess what? We had the worst meeting maybe of the entire offseason. Instead of taking one step forward like we had been every single day, we took 100 steps backwards. The players now feel like not only have they been slapped in the face and given a middle finger, they now perceive the owners as giving 2 middle fingers to them. And honestly, my purchase of spring training tickets for 2 weeks from now that I spent $500 on looks like one of the dumbest purchases. Now, hopefully I can get that refund, but we all know refunds with Major League Baseball or Ticketmaster, it's a pain in the butt. But anyways, my name is Fuzzy. We talk about baseball every single day. I'm sorry for the negative videos, but that's really just the landscape of baseball right now. I also want to throw up this funny tweet exchange right here from John Heyman, the Sauce Man. We all know that he blocked me on Twitter a few months ago. He tweeted out that a deal was almost done, that his source told him the two sides were about to come to an agreement, and then Zach Britton, the relief pitcher for the Yankees, who is actually one of the 8 representatives for the MLBPA, he swiftly denied that, and it really pains my heart. But when I say that, I want to just emphasize that when I say it pains my heart, it's really not that big of a deal. If we lose baseball, we're all going to be okay. I just want to make sure that we emphasize, to keep perspective, that what's happening overseas in Ukraine is infinitely more important than any negotiation that is happening right now with the game of baseball. I'm going to be all right. You're going to be all right if baseball is gone forever. So just keep that in mind. Have the proper perspective, because realistically, baseball, it means this much in the grand scheme of life. But moving on over to what happened in yesterday's meetings, as we inferred, Robert Manfred jinxed it because the things that the owners did, again, a massive slap in the face to not only the players, but the fans as well. Even Ken Rosenthal, not a disgrace. He's a hero in my eyes because he's actually having the fans back after being fired from MLB Network. He called out Robert Manfred in an article. Just read this title. He went for the jugular, and even players are starting to vocalize their frustrations as well. But we'll talk about that in just a second. And it really makes me upset that I might not be able to watch baseball out in Las Vegas with my friends and family with beverages and hot dogs only 2 weeks away, and it looks like Manfred and the owners are going to botch it. And I say that because if you give any blame to the players after hearing what I'm about to say, you are part of the problem. So one of the bigger issues is what's called the CBT, also known as the luxury tax, and the owners, just wait for this, they felt so generous yesterday and jolly. They had an increase of, wait for it, $1 million. That's it. It is actually a worse deal than status quo. The deal that was in place over the last 4 or 5 years is actually better than this one. Only increasing $1 million in year 2, but having worse penalties is a worse deal for the players, and I just cannot believe that this is happening. It just seems like these are rich dudes who don't really care about the game of baseball. All they really are emphasizing is, I want to have the biggest profit possible, and I get owning a business means wanting profits, but if you don't like baseball, sell the team and give it to someone else who also has a lot of money but wants to see their players on the field and being compensated fairly. So let's go ahead and move on to the second topic. The players came down 40% on their arbitration eligibility. They want 35% of players who are eligible for Super 2 to be pre-arbitration eligible. The owners came up 0%. They want to keep it status quo, that the top 22% in service time will be Super 2 players, but only rookies of the year. This was their other offer. Thank you so much, owners. You're so generous. They are allowing the rookie of the year and the runner-up to receive a full year of service time. All that really means is that they will have an expedited adventure to being arbitration eligible. I know I'm throwing a lot of confusing terms at you, but they understand that first-year players are extremely undervalued and they get screwed. So they say, hey, if you're a rookie of the year or runner-up, we'll give you a full year of service time. So 4 players total across the entire league are going to get rewarded for actually performing at an elite level in their first year. I mean, a perfect example. Say what you want about Adolis Garcia as a hitter. I know his on-base skills are a little bit they're not so great. He had a 286 on base percentage, but he was 4th in Rookie of the Year after being a monster defensively. He had 16 stolen bases, 31 home runs. He was pretty solid, but because he was 4th in Rookie of the Year, he would not get a full year of service time with this recent offer from Major League Baseball because he wasn't top 2, and also he was outside of the top 30 for Fangraph WAR. And if you remember, Major League Baseball came up with a solution, their pre-arbitration bonus pool, that the top 30 players in WAR would get a bonus and they would divvy up $20 million, whereas the players, they want $115 million divvied up against 150 players. So Adolis Garcia, he would have gotten a bonus according to the player's offer. Another example that a fan of mine brought up on Twitter, Stephen Vogt. Remember, he was a 2-time All-Star at the ages of, I think, 28, 29, or 30 and 31. He was brought up in his late 20s, and he had 6 more years of team control, so he got absolutely boned out of a ton of money, and this is what the players are trying to avoid. One more thing I want to notate as well, the owners tied draft pick lottery slots to a 14-team playoff. So all of the progress that they made 2 days ago that, hey, we want 8 teams, where I'm speaking from the player's perspective, we want the top 8 picks to be lottery based, whereas the owners, they said, we'll give you 5. But then they came back, they negotiated that maybe we can do the top 6, maybe the top 7. They were talking about meeting in the middle, but then they came out of nowhere with a haymaker, an uppercut to the chin, that, hey, if you want 7 draft picks to be lottery based, you have to also give us 14 teams in the playoffs. So almost half of Major League Baseball would be in the playoffs, which to me is far too many. The players are sitting at 12 teams. So why would you tie that to the draft lottery? It makes no sense. So here's a quick little recap of what the owners did yesterday to save the game of baseball from being pushed back, which is actually not their intention. They want to miss games. I can almost say that certainly. They increased, wait for it again, $1 million in the CBT, the luxury tax. That's a lot of money. They're billionaires, remember this. The players came down 40%. They went from 75% of the top players in terms of service time to be eligible for a Super 2 status in terms of arbitration. They came down 40% to the top 35, and the owners came up 0%. They want to keep everything status quo, and it's just, it makes no sense. You might think that I'm not allowing you to have your opinion, and guess what? Right now, I'm going to say your opinion is officially wrong. Yes, if you are deflecting some of the blame back to the players after seeing that the owners could not budge by more than $1 million and not even 1% in regards to the pre-arbitration status of these Super 2 players, come on. And a lot of people are saying, well, hey, the owner said, arguing about the Super 2 status, the the arbitration eligibility requirements would be a non-starter, that it's the player's fault for even trying to bring it up. There should not be a non-starter in negotiations. I don't care. Everything should be fair game and allowed to be negotiated, because at this point, they're basically unilaterally deciding what can and cannot be negotiated. Hey, we do not want to even talk about Super 2s. It's going to stay at the top 22% of players will get a year of service time instead of bartering with you and maybe agreeing upon 30% or 35%. So really, I'm going to go ahead and give one of these. That's the fake finger. YouTube did not demonetize me. It's the fake one. I'm going to give that back to the owners because we have to stand up for the great game of baseball. Even players are starting to speak out as well. Anthony Rizzo put out a poll. I accidentally clicked yes, do not mind that. I have fat fingers. But a majority of people are on the side of the players and believe that the owners are not, their intention is not actually to sign a deal. They want to miss games. And then Chris Bassett, he reiterated what Trevor May said a few weeks ago. If you don't remember, here's Trevor May just dropping the mic on all of the owners. He pretty much just called their hand.
This isn't based on any sort of insider information. I genuinely don't know if this is true, but just knowing from the last 2 years of how the commissioner's office generally just handles anything that they want to do, they have a pretty long-term plan laid out, I think. I think that Rob has put together hey guys, if we are willing to not really give it all until this date, I think that'll give us this much leverage. And if we're willing to sacrifice these many games, it'll make us this much more money in the next 4.5 years of the CBA if we just stick it out.
So that does it for today's video. At this point, I don't even know what my emotions are. I go from feeling defeated to feeling hopeful to feeling angry to feeling just a wide spectrum of emotions. And again, I'm putting everything into perspective because even though I make baseball content, if baseball goes away, everything will be fine. Everything will be dandy. What's happening in Ukraine is infinitely more important. I just want to go ahead and make sure I get that in a video because that is definitely something that should be in the back of your mind at all times, that we are very lucky to live where we live. Again, my heart goes out to all of my viewers in Ukraine and any of the surrounding areas. Thank you all so much for watching. I'm hoping that baseball comes back soon. Catch you on the next one.